Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 123 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my co hosts.
My name is Craig. We're back. We're here.
My name is Craig. Happy to be back. Happy to be with you guys. Happy to, I guess, not hear you listeners, but be able to talk to everyone.
Yep.
And while we took a week off, you know what doesn't take a week off ever?
The news. That was good.
Oh, I didn't see that
That
coming.
was another great one. I would say 2 weeks in a row, but we didn't record last week. So that was a good 3 weeks in a row, Barry.
Yeah, I'll take
it would have been a great one if we recorded last week. He would have had a great segue.
He would have. No doubt.
I'm working on making them better. 2 years in now, and they're just starting to come to me now. The transitions, so don't force them as hard. Talk about no, there's no forcing here. I can't roll that one in. But probably the biggest part of the news story on my end is going to be like the Nintendo frat culture is exposed that now it faces lawsuits for harassment and discrimination. Kind of sucks to hear that Nintendo's doing this, but I kind of have a feeling that most gaming companies are like this, especially old-timey ones like Nintendo. We also heard about it with Blizzard, but gaming used to be primarily what most people think is like a men's hobby or a boy's hobby. Like it's usually run by men, for men, that kind of thing. Well, nowadays I find that, women are now girls are getting into gaming more so than ever before. And that includes any gender, to be completely honest. Any gender right now is getting into gaming more often. And with that, these people who are growing up with gaming want to become developers and stuff like that. But now they're running into the issue of, Nintendo is now like a frat culture because back in the 80s, 90s, and 70s, it was all, being for men, frat culture type thing. So now these people get hired in these jobs and find that they're getting paid less than their peers, or they feel like because of their gender or orientation, they end up not being available or not being eligible, I should say, for full-time positions or get discriminated against from their fellow peers. It just kind of sucks to hear all this, but I have a feeling that Blizzard, Nintendo, I have a feeling, and like even Sony has kind of come out, and it hasn't come out, but also faces these types of lawsuits for these types of things. And I have a feeling a lot of gaming companies are like this more often than what we hear. It just happens to be that now we hear about Nintendo in this as well.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good thing that this culture that's existed for a long time is starting to get found out more and more, so we can get rid of it. And the people that need to be bounced out of their positions get bounced out of their positions so that we can get back to where it needs to be. Because you're right, it was even growing up, that for me that would have been mainly, I started with Nintendo, but mainly Super Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation era. It was 100% aimed at dudes, right?
Yep.
PlayStation is what I think of the most when you think about the magazine ads and commercials for Tomb Raider, right? That was 100% aimed at adolescent teens. And GTA, that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that we're getting away from that. Now we just need to work on getting those older generation of people out of positions of power in gaming, and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Craig, you bring up a good point. Thinking back on how games looked, especially in that time frame that you're talking about, they were geared that way. And when you have a game like Tomb Raider that has a female protagonist, how she was depicted, was definitely aimed at men, young men, just with how she was drawn and how she looked. Nowadays, with all of the amazing female protagonists that are created, you have Aloys, you have I don't know necessarily the woman who's going to be in the upcoming Forspoken, even you
have Ellie and Abby,
Plague's Tale,
there's
just so many out that are depicted in a different light. Even that, what was that game? What was the fighting game with all the women that were in the swimsuit?
Dead or Alive.
Dead or Alive. which
Mm-hmm.
and it's 7,000 sequels. Like even
Yep.
that, like I mean, it's not saying that it didn't get all of those sequels, but like that's what I think of when I think of games back then. And it's I just hope we kind of scrub this out of the culture, because everybody of all different shapes, sizes, backgrounds, ethnicities, genders, everything, everybody's playing video games. And like especially in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been such an insane surge. You turn on Twitch, you can get any type of person that you would like playing a game.
Yep.
So they got to what do the kids say? They got to cancel that culture
Yeah, they
or
do.
whatever.
I think we're well on our way, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better there. It's better to start, I guess, here instead of starting, years in the future from now when,
Yep.
it's people tend to wash things under the bridge more. I don't know. Maybe cancel culture in this particular case it is in this case a good thing, because it's
Mhm.
just trying to bring to light, the frat culture that most of these game societies we grew up with are probably not too great.
No.
But on the brighter side, I need to share the fact that Twitter and social media blew up this weekend because Dragon Ball Z characters were added to Fortnite.
Yes,
And
they
it
were.
Yep.
is so
Yep.
funny to watch. And I've probably watched the video at least 100 times, but it's Goku who hits a Kamehameha and
Mhm.
then hits the gritty
Yep.
as he's winning. Like, I
So
literally
good.
die laughing
Yep.
every time I see it. And it's just funny to see because there's like now this hug emote and like the fusion as well, like emote that's come
Mhm.
out, and it's kind of nice to see that like the only game that like has really come forward with all this is like Fortnite, because you have
Yep.
things from everywhere. You have anime characters, you've got video game characters, both from Xbox, PlayStation. I guess not so much Nintendo side of things, but regardless, it's because they're very safe of their brand. And I just hadn't seen Fortnite blow up like this in a long time, but
Mhm.
they released the Dragon Ball Z characters, and I just saw it just light up the internet in the best way possible. It is just so funny to watch, these anime characters I grew up with, um, hit or what is it, the Carlton or the
Yes.
Yep.
like just these
You
really
got it.
stupid dance moves. It's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know I've seen like a ton of memes too, but like just the fact that if you could go back in time and tell yourself as a kid that in the future there's going to be a game where you could play as all these different characters, like you could have a game where Goku is fighting John Cena or The
Mhm.
Rock or like who else is in there? Naruto.
Yeah.
LeBron.
Just like LeBron. It's just insane, like to think that all of these characters, like I know I've personally dreamt of like a game where all my favorite characters are in it, and I don't even play Fortnite, but the fact that like there's so many characters in this game is just insane, and that they can all
Mhm.
do stupid dances and all that stuff. It's really cool. I know like Fortnite's not for me, but it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, my wife and I recently started getting back into playing just here or there,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of matches we play with some friends who are still into it, and it's just kind of refreshing to see. I mean, now in terms of paying for everything is not that refreshing because
Right.
Fortnite still has a upward battle if you're trying to get all the costumes and like or even one in the game, because I refuse to pay.
Yeah.
That's my stance on Fortnite. I want to play, I really don't want to pay. But it is nice, and that's one of the moves that Fortnite keeps making that's going to keep solidifying them every single year and keep the fan base. Because I mean, look what they just did. And then it blows up, and then people who maybe aren't even playing Fortnite anymore or stopped a year ago or 2 years ago, now they might get back into it because of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z, I love Dragon Ball Z. That won't get me into playing Fortnite again, but there's got to be somebody out there that's like, I can be Vegeta,
Yeah.
I could be
Yep.
Piccolo or like whomever, like whomever's being released. So that's they're making moves, and it's they got the right algorithm and they keep doing it, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to think about in the future what Fortnite will have. Like when we're 30 years from now, like I'm
It better
pretty
not
sure
still
we'll
be
probably
around.
be well, no, I don't know about it being around, but more like a generational type of game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I really haven't seen a game like this in my lifetime, at least, where I think about it 30 years from now, and I'm gonna be like, this is something that like kids, adults, and everything like that, like they know and they understand.
Don't for,
Even be just because of like how generational Fortnite has become.
don't
It's
forget about
it's
Minecraft too.
Yeah.
yeah, probably Minecraft as well. You're right.
Yep.
That this would be then like that second game
I think
that I've
Fortnite's
seen
more
more.
popular, but I think when we look back 30 years from now, it's going to be Fortnite and Minecraft.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
I agree.
I mean, there's going to be games that are going to try. Like, I mean, Apex Legends is, I
Mhm.
can say right now, is not going to have the longevity in terms of like a free game as like something like Fortnite. That's just the first one that came to my head, or Minecraft for that matter. But
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, maybe do you think they'll bring back? Because I remember when I first saw the trailer or commercial for Fortnite, it started out as basically like a protect yourself from the
Yep.
zombies game. That's what I thought I was getting when
Yep.
when it came out, and I can't believe I forgot about that until now. But you know, maybe they bring that back. Maybe when they see a decline in sales, they maybe go back to what it was originally planned, or at least like
Maybe.
upscale it of what was
Yeah.
originally planned.
Now they did have a physical release of the game that did do that.
Yep.
Okay.
But you can't find like you can't find that physical release, and I'd be interested to see 30 years from now what that physical copy like
Oh
is
yeah.
worth.
Oh yeah.
Probably
Just
a lot.
because you can't find it anymore, and I know it's probably not worth a lot right now, but people will be like, oh, I remember this game, and we'll all be at that point digitalized into the internet.
Mm.
So how do people interact with it still, especially if the servers are closed or whatever 30 years from now?
Yep.
So it's it's fun to think about. I can't wait to see what it ends up being worth 30 years from now, especially if it's a collector's item.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Lastly, for what I have is a new Pokemon Scarlet and Violet competitive trailer came out, showed off a new Pokemon called Cyclozar. I think that's going to be how it's pronounced. It
Mhm.
looks to be like a pre-evolved form of the two legendaries that you get, and that's been something that's done before. You know, we had Manaphy from I think generation 4 and 3 or 4. It was kind of in between though, between them. So it's not the first time we see like a pre-evolution for a legendary Pokemon, but I feel like right now Pokemon is really trying to hype up its competitive scene for this game, and the terrestrial form really seems to come out and like change the game up in a big way. So it's nice to see that Pokemon is probably, starting to lean more toward the competitive scene because they see that esports are only getting bigger. So it's it's nice to see. When we talk about movies and what we watched this week, I watched way too much competitive Pokemon this week. There were 5 live streams, I think. 5 or 3. It was like
Oh
Pokemon
wow.
Unite, Pokemon video game, Pokemon TCG, Pokemon Go. That is an actual like competitive scene as well. So it's got
Interesting.
like there were like 4 live streams of just the world championships this week. And it was really fun to watch. I watched way too much of it. But yeah, you guys go ahead and share your news. That's all I have.
Go ahead.
So I guess the big one for me, or one of the big ones for me, is based off of a accidental Amazon listing. Dead Island 2
Yep.
got accidentally revealed, or at least like not to the way that it wanted to be revealed. Now, for a lot of people, including myself, who's more intrigued now. I know my wife's a big fan of Dead Island. I'm excited to kind of see what they do with it, especially when they have particular games that have tried its style, like maybe like Dying Light 2 with parkour, like kind of thing, but same thing. Um, it's got a tentative release date. It looks for like February 3rd, 2023, which is kind of refreshing when we think about what the Q1 of 2023 looks like in terms of games, because all of these games are getting pushed back
Yep.
into Q1. So it's nice. I always kind of laugh when something gets revealed as an accidental listing somewhere in terms of pricing, or if something accidentally gets revealed in terms of a something in addition to the game. So it's nice. It's been like a decade
Yep.
since Dead Island came out, and then we all kind of had that little tease with the Goat Simulator trailer that looked like Dead Island 2 for most of us for the first 30 seconds. So I'm excited. I don't care if it gets pushed back. Personally, I did not finish Dead Island 2. Oh, sorry, Dead Island 1 myself, but I do like the concept of the side quest aspect in an undead world. It works. It's a nice kind of change, even though with most things it ends up being fetch quests. Like my friend died over here. Can you get their necklace? My friend, like that's the recurring theme. So that was interesting to see. Kenna Bridge of Spirits is coming to PC. It's also coming with an update as well, which seems to be more content. Barry, I thought that you would find that interesting because I guess out of the three of us, you were when it did come out, you were most excited for it. But that's
Did you
September
ever
20th.
beat it, Barry?
I got really close. I
Okay.
I think I have an hour left if I'm being completely honest, but I know,
Okay.
and you guys know me, all the games get lost in a shuffle once
Mm-hmm.
once the new release season hits. I really should finish that game for sure. It's only an hour left. I could probably do it pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's exciting for me. I never played it. I just kind of missed the train. I was intrigued by it, but then as I heard different feedback on either side, it didn't intrigue me enough for a purchase. But you never know. Your
It's
ideas
definitely a
change.
game. It's definitely a game. Like if they ever put it on sale, I'd highly recommend it. Like it
Okay.
is it is a shorter game for what it's worth right now, but if it ends up going on sale for like 30 to 20 bucks, it's an absolute buy at
Yeah.
at that price range, especially because I want to see these people succeed because they are like ex animators. Like the game looks gorgeous, I think plays pretty well. It's just
Hmm.
on the shorter end of what I think a lot of people were expecting. So Ember Labs, I hope that if they can put it on sale or do anything like that, that they definitely should, just to get more people to experience your game.
Yeah. Um, there was another game that's coming to PC, and not Spider-Man. I think it's Death Stranding.
Death
Not as big
Stranding.
a
Correct.
Game
Death
Pass.
Stranding.
Yep.
Game
Game
Pass for
Pass.
That's
Yeah.
this week,
PC.
isn't it?
For
Yeah.
PC though.
Yeah, just for PC, not for Xbox.
Oh, speaking of that, don't mean to overshadow Stranding, but
Hey, you
apparently
can't.
there's.
You can't. Oh,
I don't. For some reason, Death Stranding to me feels like some insane UPS simulator. If you really wanted to take people through the grind,
Yep.
or like if you were to play a game, if you worked for any type of delivery service after work and not want to play it because it reminded you of work, that's what Death Stranding reminds me of. Random thought, but anyway, back to what I was trying to say. Apparently, PlayStation is releasing an online version, which seemingly looks like Game Pass, or is going to have like a Game Pass online kind of thing. I'm excited. I wasn't expecting that because sometimes PlayStation takes a drag their feet route with certain things. I am forever a Sony person just because I'm biased. Like I had PlayStation longer in my households growing up and even into my adulthood, but I do like to give Microsoft its due in certain things, and just Game Pass and having the access on computers is something interesting. So I want to kind of keep a tab on that as well. I don't know if you guys saw that as well, what your thoughts were on it.
I mean, it could be interesting if they're going to put their first party stuff on there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would play it on PC. I just don't have any desire to buy any of their first party stuff again for PC.
Yeah.
I just don't see the point.
yeah, it
Yeah.
would be neat if it was something that was included with the premium membership.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I understand Sony's want to get into the PC market because now they're starting to see because they did mention in news stories how well Spider-Man did sell on
Yeah.
PC, and that just makes complete sense. It's one of the I want to say the first in a long time where a Marvel game like was really really good, and that
Mhm.
was before Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy came out, at least in my eyes. And with that, Sony just wants to kind of join in this marketplace sort of thing, have its own launcher, make its own money from it. I just too many launchers on PC for me.
Yep.
You know, I already have to play Steam, play Xbox Game Pass. I have to
Yeah.
get on my Epic Game account if I want to play Fall Guys with my friends.
Yep.
So it's like there's so much like leaping back and forth that to have to add now Sony like PlayStation launcher to the mix would just kind of be a drag.
And Blizzard and EA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because they
There's
all
just
have
a
their own as
million.
well.
Yep. That's crazy.
That's a
Yeah,
good
we have
point.
to wait and see. I mean, I just don't think they're going to have it. They would have to add it to the premium
They would have to.
version because they're not going to have a whole lot to put on there. So I don't think they're going to be able to charge any more for it. At least, I mean, I say that, but they probably will.
Yeah, if
Let's be
anything,
honest.
if anything, it creates only real excitement, like sincere excitement for new content.
Mhm.
You know, if they pull some type of, I'm not saying they're going to pull an entire Stray, but one of the cool things about transitioning to the extra or premium was the fact that Stray was just like there when it came out, and a lot of people played it through that route. That was a deciding factor for me, at least to upgrade. Well, one of my deciding factors to upgrade.
Yeah.
So I guess new content would be where it's exciting, you know. But
That's fair.
the last thing I have is quite small, but it's medium big for me. There's a rumor that Days Gone is going to transition to a movie.
Okay.
If they get the right person, if they get like, who's the guy who plays like Negan from Walking Dead? Is it Jeffrey Dean Morgan? If they get somebody like that, you know,
Yeah,
to
but
possibly play.
at that point, are we not just doing Walking Dead again with this movie?
Essentially,
Like, why do we need it? I don't understand why we need it. Personally.
I can't answer you. Actually, I
Yeah.
don't know why we need it. I think what
Yeah.
happened to me is I saw that and then I remembered how much I liked the game.
Mhm.
The game was not game of the year, but it was quite an enjoyable experience for what it had, and even with the bugs that I saw that, and then I remembered how much I liked the game, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out. But
Mhm.
if it's free on Netflix or something like that, I didn't see exactly the route it's taking there, then I'll watch it. But I thought that was pretty interesting because there's no announcement of like really a sequel or anything solidified for a sequel, but it is getting a movie.
Yeah.
So I don't
True.
know.
Yeah.
But that's all I got for news.
All right. So my one piece of news, which actually isn't news, but it ties into your Dead Island 2 that you talked about and how it kind of got put up as a release date. I think this is like the 6th or 7th time that it's had a release date at this point over 10 years. But what I wanted to do is I grabbed 16 games that are in or have been in development hell, are not out yet. Some of them are scheduled to come out, but some of them are not. I have 16 set up in a bracket. How we're going to do it is 60 seconds per matchup to decide which one will be higher rated, received better. All right. So you two have 60 seconds to debate on each of these.
Okay.
And then we'll come up with a winner. So here we go. Number 1, Dead Island 2 and Diablo 4.
Which one's going to do better?
Which one will do better? Which one will be received better?
Diablo 4 received better. Diablo 4.
Okay. Didn't even take you 60 seconds. Okay. Next one. We have In the Valley of the Gods, if you remember what that was. This was the next game from the people who did Firewatch.
Okay.
This was announced all the way back in like 2017. If you need to look it up, I'll give you time to look it up. But In the Valley of the Gods versus Bully 2.
Oh, man.
Now, some of these may never actually come out, but just off the top of your head, by looking at both of those games, which one do you think would be better received of the two? Now, this is a hard one.
Bully 2.
All right.
I'm looking at it. I'm going to say, sorry, there's not much difference in our opinions, but from what I'm looking at, Bully 2, they've had so much time to polish it and make it better when it gets out of it. Yeah.
All right. Bayonetta 3, which is almost out, and Star Wars Eclipse.
Bayonetta.
Now, this is Quantic Dream Star Wars.
Yeah, that's right. I guess on thinking it's that Star Wars game, I'm probably going to go with Bayonetta as well,
Okay.
just because like Quantic Dream is kind of garnered a negative reputation for the way that they tell stories as of late.
Sure. All right. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 and the new Untitled BioShock.
Untitled BioShock.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the one you're talking about, isn't that the masquerade where you're the detective, or is that the masquerade where there's a bunch of factions? Like
It
there's
is a
so
bunch
many.
of factions. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, still
Yep.
the new BioShock.
All right. Metroid Prime 4
I
and Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake.
was waiting for Prime 4. I'm taking Prime 4. It's
Barry?
going.
This was a little tougher.
Do you think they really can improve on what
Prince of Persia is a well-loved game. It
and
really
that's what
is.
I'm thinking. Like
Prince
it is
of
a
Persia
classic.
is?
Hmm?
Prince of Persia is.
That game specifically, Prince of Persia Sands of Time, was a well-received game.
Yes.
Very highly regarded.
Oh,
So the fact that they're remastering it, remaking it, is
I think
interesting.
Prince of Persia. I think Prince of Persia would be received better.
okay.
All right. I mean, you got to pick one. You guys are on opposite sides.
Oh, okay. We both have to align.
Yeah, you got to align on this
okay.
one.
Oh, that's how debates work. You have to figure out.
The
I
only
mean-
reason
ahead.
I don't say Metroid Prime 4 is because we just got Metroid Dread.
And it
But like,
got
look how well
received
they did with that.
It got received well.
It got
It did
received well.
no,
You don't
it
think
did
they can
get-
take the momentum into.
No, not so much that as it is they would be getting another Metroid Prime game, and then there's Metroid Dread soon afterward. Where Prince of Persia, we now have this huge gap of from the last Prince of Persia to this Prince of Persia game. And it's a well-received classic. And also, Metroid Prime 4 will probably end up like, I know it'll probably end up being like a first-person shooter,
Yep.
like how the other ones were. And I feel like Prince of Persia is more of a throwback to the older type of game, where I have a feeling that people are going to look at it with more nostalgia. And
Okay.
there's a chance that Metroid Prime 4 also could suck. Like, there's...
Good.
Not
I'm
all
gonna-
the Metroid games have been received well.
That's true. I'm just gonna be cynical here.
Okay.
I'm gonna be cynical here. I'm gonna treat Prince of Persia, in my opinion, the way if you were to remaster Avatar and try to get me to buy that again today. Like, it was great. It's a classic. Well, I guess Avatar I wouldn't consider necessarily a classic. It was good for the era and it broke financial
Mhm.
goals, but I am skeptical of how well received a revitalized version of it would be nowadays. There's been plenty of time where it's nostalgic, but there's also been plenty of time for us to be like, meh, and just kind of like not see it in the same light that it had. I'm probably going to eat my words in a podcast in the future because, please bring this up whenever Prince of Persia does highly exceed our expectations. But I'm just skeptical of that. I think Prime 4 will be better. But for the sake of this podcast moving on,
Well, what I'll say is you guys went back past your 60 seconds, so I'll pick,
yeah.
and I say it's Metroid Prime.
Okay.
That's my pick. I'll just be the deciding factor if you guys can't.
That
love it.
works.
All right. Beyond Good and Evil 2 and
Oh.
Star Citizen, which is both of them have been in development for 80,000 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Star Citizen, but that's also because I know next to nothing
Okay.
about Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Are people not like fed up with Star Citizen though at this point because they just refuse to finish that game?
That's a good question.
At least the game is playable. You can play it,
It is
No.
playable. Yeah.
like demo wise and whatnot. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about it. Beyond Good and Evil 2. That trailer was released, I think, almost in like 2017
Something
or
like
18
that.
or
Yeah.
16. One of those.
Well, we had
years.
one like a year or two ago as well. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get that trailer, and then it's kind of been lost out of your mind. Yeah, like Star Citizen and what they're kind of doing, I think, is pretty scummy.
Yeah.
Just to continue to take money and what seems to be never finish this game. But
They've made millions of dollars, or is it close to $1 billion at this point? Isn't it?
Yeah, I can't judge Beyond Good and Evil 2 because I've never played the series, nor do I have any
Okay.
idea what it's
Right.
about.
I'm gonna go with Star Citizen 2,
Okay.
and the only reason is because after going and looking at it a little bit further, I do remember being hyped when they were showing this,
Mm-hmm.
but clearly it was too ambitious for them to be able to release it in a
I just don't think.
reasonable.
I don't think they have any plan to ever release it. Honestly, at this
They might
point, they've
not.
just been collecting money for years.
They might.
Okay.
And one day
So,
it'll get caught for some sort of scheme or
yep.
something like that,
Yep.
and then we won't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
So, the next one, this one doesn't have a title, but Ken Levine, the creator of BioShock, his new game, which is not titled, and Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're both in agreement on Half-Life 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, the last one in the first rounds here, we have a GTA 6. And if you need to look this one up, you can, but Everwild, if you don't remember what that is.
No, I know
I feel like I
Everwild.
do.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
That
the
got
trailer for it.
A couple
But
years ago, right?
It's GTA 6. Yeah, it's GTA 6 without question.
Yeah, it's GTA 6.
All right.
I don't know why I looked up Everwild. It's like,
I don't know. Everybody's. I mean, a million people are going to buy GTA 6, right? But at this point, I feel like our perception on Rockstar has gone from like they make nothing but insanely good games to they're kind of scummy, and their GTA 3 remaster was crap. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know,
no,
they've changed a lot. But yeah, you're probably
that's a
right
good
there.
point.
Yeah. All right. So if we go back here, we got Diablo 4 and Bully 2.
4. Diablo 4.
Very
I'll say Diablo 4 as well.
okay. I don't. Also, Activision's coming off of not the greatest, right? And
Yeah.
also, their Diablo Immortal has not been reviewed well. So, I mean, I probably would also say Diablo 4, but I think if Bully 2 ever came out, that would be insane as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's close.
Bayonetta 3 or a new Bioshock?
New BioShock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
I agree on that as well. All right. Metroid Prime 4 or Star Citizen?
I think I'm sticking with Prime 4. I don't
Okay.
know. I just have this
Okay.
belief system about it.
Yeah, Prime 4.
Okay. That's fair. That's probably what I have chosen. All right. Half-Life 2 Episode 3 or GTA 6?
Oh, yuck. That one sucks.
Ew.
That
Yeah,
one
this
really
one sucks.
sucks.
That's like a marginal victory, but
Mhm.
or like at least.
Yep. Do the right thing.
I think Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
I'm gonna have to go with Gordon and say Half-Life
Yeah.
2 Episode 3 as well.
I just think that when GTA 6 comes out, it's going to sell a bazillion copies, right? But if Half-Life 2 Episode 3 were to ever come out, it would literally break the internet.
It
Yeah.
would.
Yeah,
would
that's what
break
I'm
the
thinking
internet.
as well.
Yeah.
Like, people would lose their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Everybody would be building computers to be able to handle it. Like, it would just be insane. All right. Diablo 4 or a new Bioshock?
I think I'm going to say Diablo 4.
Wow. You guys have a lot of faith in Activision right now.
I don't have necessarily faith. I just know that.
You have faith that people were still going to be hyped for Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Even after Immortal and how scummy it was.
I feel like Activision, in terms of Diablo, is like the academic collegiate kid that like went out one night, got drunk, failed a test, and then because of that, the next time he like is going to ace the heck out of the next test. That's the that's the best analogy that I have.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 4.
Okay. That's fair. Metroid Prime 4 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3?
Half.
Yeah.
Yeah, Half-Life. Half-Life.
Okay. And then it's Half-Life 2 Episode 3 or Diablo 4?
Half-Life.
Half.
Okay. So Half-Life 2 Episode 3 then would be the most well-received game out of all these games that may never see the light of day. Some of them
Yes.
obviously will, but I think a lot of these may never. And I also, I guess, honorable mention, I didn't put Skull and Bones on there
Oh, Skull and Bones.
because that was in development hell for years, and now
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
finally
it
coming
was.
out. But yeah, Half-Life 2, that's our winner.
All right, there we go.
Sweet.
Any other news then?
Nope.
No.
All right. Let's go ahead into games this week, which for me, I am back in action
Ooh.
with my reviews and opinions of Madden 23.
Let's get it.
Is that all you
Let's
played?
get it.
Yes.
Okay. I also played Madden. I played Roller Drome,
Interested to hear what you think
and
of that.
I also played 2 Point Hospital as well, and Arcade Paradise on PC, and then just briefly started Thymesia.
Okay.
I actually bought it, guys. I didn't like rent it. I
Oh,
actually
wow.
bought it.
I
How
want
about
to
you,
hear what you
Craig?
think of that one too. So me, I did a lot of Monster Hunter Rise, which I already briefly talked about 2 weeks ago, and I'm also very late, so I don't have to go into that one. But I got into Cult of the Lamb, which is the
Yeah.
Oh,
new
good.
craze, and
Everybody's talking about that.
everybody's talking about that. Twitch is blowing up with it. And then
Mhm.
I went ahead, Barry. I don't know why I'm looking directly at you when I say this, but I mentioned a game a while ago called Thirsty Suitors. Well, my wife thought it'd be funny to download the demo of Thirsty Suitors to play, so I played that demo as well. That was the one where that was the Scott Pilgrim versus the World, like you fight your
Yeah.
ex-boyfriends kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
like it's a 10 to 15 minute demo, but I just have a little bit on that as well just to talk about it, but mainly Cult of the Lamb.
Also, Barry, on a side note, I don't know if you saw this, but I figured I'd bring this up because you played it a while ago. But you remember Fashion Police?
I do, yes.
It is blowing up
Yeah.
on Steam.
I remember the demo. Yeah, the
Yeah. I just saw like a bunch of news articles like, oh, you have to check out this game. And I was like, hold on. That was like, we talked about that a while ago. I remember that.
we got invited to the demo,
Yep.
and it's definitely been over a year since
It's
that
been a
demo.
while. Yeah.
It's I still have it. I still have the demo that shows up in my Steam library. But it
With the belt.
yeah, that game is definitely meant like it is a very fun, lot of things to do, like fast-paced
Yeah.
shooter. So that makes sense for me. But I want to hear about Thirsty Suitors demo.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm excited.
Thirsty Suitors. Thirsty Suitors essentially, I know I kind of already described it, a while ago, but it's basically you play this girl who's kind of back in town. She's on a bus riding back in, and again, I only had 10 to 15 minutes of it. I'm going to be honest, gentlemen, the beginning of the game started out very similar to a Kingdom Hearts.
Don't say
And
that.
well, I'll tell you why. Not in not in performance and how they executed it, but you started off with your talking to yourself, and you're in kind of this fantasy world skateboarding, which they're apparently going to do a lot of in the game, but you're skateboarding from platform to platform. At every platform it asks you a question, but it asks you a question that maybe you would hear from a friend if you were an adolescent female, like going to school, which is like, are you afraid of rejection? Your ex comes into the room and says this, what do you do? And then there'll be three answers. It'll say play it cool, it says I don't have an ex, or it'll have like answers like that, and you select them. And after about 9 of these, which the person who's narrating is the voice of the main character, she's very sarcastic. She almost kind of has like, it's like if she was Iago talking to herself right on her shoulder. And at the end, that dictated your starting, well, at least one of your starting stats based on how you answered. Like,
Mhm.
depending on what you said, you either ended up in like a heartbreaker type of person or a bohemian type of person. Like, these are the things you can level up in the game. So, character wakes up on a bus after that dream sequence, and then you have to, after you get dropped off the bus, decide who you want to take you home, or who you want to ask for. Now, clearly the person has like burned a lot of bridges in the town she's returning home to, because you have a choice between asking your parents, your older sister, or your ex. And if you select X, the character says something snide, and that's not a selection anymore. If you if you ask your so you go through a one or two selections, and then you actually meet your first ex-boyfriend who walks into the same area as you. It's like a diner, and that's the first battle system. And I don't know if you guys actually saw like any of the footage, but
Yeah,
it's
I'd watched the
Mhm.
yeah.
trailer.
So you basically have seen the full extent of the battle, and that's where the demo ends for me. It's RPG based, but all of the moves that you do are comically thrown around as like they use the word thirsty like the whole time. Like you're trying to build up the thirst meter for your ex-boyfriend, because an attack that you do after he's thirsty for 2 rounds or 3 rounds will do more damage. And you can flirt in between, or like there's a lot of talking in the RPG battle, and you respond and it changes how the battle goes. Now, it was okay. It was semi okay. The music's pretty good. The music actually is what saved it for me, because the actual visuals, I could see where they were trying to go artistically, but it wasn't executed fully. I still suggest trying it out. You might feel differently from me. I came in with a little bit of skepticism, which I try not to with certain games, and I definitely came into it with this one. So
That's fair.
I still recommend trying it.
Yeah.
At least the demo.
Yeah, it's free. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Barry.
I was to say, do we want to jump into Madden, or do you want to go into like Thymesia or
Madden.
something? You might Madden.
Madden.
This is the main event. Let's go into
Let
the main
me
event.
let's get that going, because I know you have thoughts. I know I have thoughts.
Yeah, so I have thoughts, and I'm gonna preface this. I used up my entire 10-hour trial
Wow.
before
Okay.
I physically got the game. I have played this game. I know this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's in my blood. But so Madden 23, and it kind of comes with a lot of trade-offs here. I do feel like this is actually the first next gen sports game. Like there really is no loading screen. Like it is very, very short, like loading screen wise, especially when loading into a game. There is a certain amount of smoothness, especially in the frame rate option. Like the game looks very smooth.
Except for
Which
John
is
Madden.
except for John Madden, yeah.
He looks like crap.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But the game is different. This game feels more different than past Maddens, which I think is why people are giving this game like a benefit of the doubt sort of thing. And overall, like I am a little bit more positive about this game. I do wish they would just trash modes, like their face of the franchise stinks. Sorry, it's just stupid. It sucks. Their grid, I forget what it is, like the gridiron thing where it's like you draft players with a team. I actually completely forget the game mode. That's how stupid it is. Like you have the play now, you have the franchise, and you have your ultimate team. Which I don't play ultimate team, but I understand. That's where EA gets a lot of its money. I am gameplay wise, I am impressed. I do think bringing back the QB vision was a good idea. Kind of brings a little bit more control, even though it still frustrates me a lot. Like they talk about how this is all, how you want to throw the ball. Sometimes I wish there was just a dedicated button to like tell when you're trying to do a touch pass or a lob pass. Because I'll try like a lob pass, or I want to do a lob pass, but I guess I held the button in too long for it to be a touch pass, and it ends up getting intercepted over when I'm trying to throw over the defender, and he just doesn't throw over the defender. And maybe it's because I'm playing as Tua Tagovailoa. That might be my fault. He is a 76th rated quarterback in the game. So maybe if I was playing as Tom Brady, it might be a little bit easier.
I went back to the original way of throwing so fast. I hate that I hate it.
I was all about like I'm either gonna adapt and I will adapt to die with this system, because they did do this and they've put work into it, and I wanted to at
Yeah.
least see what this work was, and I do see
Mhm.
the benefits of bringing back quote unquote QB vision here. I
When it
can
works.
throw the yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
when it works.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's the thing about first generation type things, is that you're usually inheriting it with all the bugs, and hopefully this gets better.
Mhm.
But I do think personally EA needs to come up with a dedicated button that decides either between a lob pass or a touch pass.
Yep.
Like, holding it in for bullet makes sense, but
Yeah, it does.
but you have to like tap it for lob, or
Yep.
like
Or
press it in
halfway.
for
Yeah.
touch. Like,
Yeah.
there's too much overlap, I think, in like touching the button and then like actually pressing it in. Like, there's too much overlap there that it gets confusing. And they already do that with like high passes and like low passes. It should be very easy to program a button to be able to do lob pass, to be completely honest.
Yep.
So gameplay wise, I do feel like it's better. This is definitely like a better, I think, playing Madden than most ones. There are still bugs. I didn't document it, but I should have. I literally like doinked a field goal for a game-winning field goal, and it said I won. Like, the
Wow.
replay, the ball did not go over. Like, the ball bounced off of the inside of the post. It did not go through it, off of the crossbar, I should say, the field goal, and then popped back out, which I don't think is a field goal in NFL.
No.
Well, that was a
Um,
freebie.
Yeah. You're
yeah.
giving me flashback. Remember last year?
Oh yeah,
Remember
last year was a
how
mess.
yeah, I had a game where I won 42-7, and when I went back to the main screen it said I lost 34-14.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?"
No, yeah, like there's still there. It's always fun for me because I see the stupid moments when like your player gets tackled and he lets go of the ball to like do a celebration, and then the
Yep.
ball magnetizes back
Yep.
to to his hand. It's funny, but it's also buggy. Like that.
Yep.
That kind of thing should stop. It shouldn't be that hard to stop something like that from happening. I think franchise mode, the menu is better. It is definitely not like as, I think, terrible as last year's franchise mode menu was. It still needs work. But like overall, I'm happy to see that Madden is at least trying to change the gameplay, especially with bringing QB vision back in a way. Uh I will admit the tackling on the defensive side just felt different this year. It took me a while to get used to it. I don't know if they changed something. I do know that they talked about, the focus of like they've added 300 more tackling animation when it's like a double team tackle, solo tackle, everything like that. So there's a lot that's been added to the defensive side that I kind of had to get used to. But, they Madden really needs to trim the fat, I think is what I would say. Like, get rid of the gridiron mode where it's featuring celebrities in your football team, that kind of thing. And like just put the actual money, have Spike Lee write a football story. I don't know. That's what
I mean,
that's what
yes,
the NBA
please.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the NBA ones used to do. And I thought they were pretty entertaining overall.
Mhm.
I just think that bug wise, yeah, they need to fix the bugs, but like trim the fat so you can make more room for improvements on the modes that matter. Nobody cares about the gridiron mode, and right now nobody cares about face of the franchise. I am willing to bet that less than this game, like, football is very popular and this game always sells. I'm going to say 5 million copies to be modest. I am
Mhm.
going to bet you that less than 1 million of those people play face of the franchise.
Mm.
That always used to be my favorite too. And I mean that's what I've played the most of so far, because I keep hoping that it's going to get better and it just doesn't. It's just so uninteresting. I think too, I don't really like the new style of passing, but like you can get used to it. I do agree with you that I think the engine itself seems to be better. And it kind of, for me, it gives me hope that this is like the stepping stone to college football next year, right? Like this is them working on making sure that that game is the one that's going to like blow everybody out of the water. And if they can do that, then you got Madden coming right behind it. that will use the same engine. So, but again, like the biggest selling point of the college football games for me was the face of the franchise mode. I forget what they called it back then. It was like Campus Legend or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Um, the two things, that's the two things I need, that and then the ability to play that, and then when I'm done, just import that character into Madden for the year and go right into face of franchise. They used to do that. They used to talk to each other, and it would
Yeah.
bring over all your stats from the college football game right into Madden. Like, they need to be doing that. But I think this is definitely a better Madden game. I just, they need to fix some more things for sure.
Yeah, I
When did they
definitely.
when did they stop doing that?
College football.
Well, no, when did they like have they ever stopped? Because like I don't play the games every year. Have they ever stopped the ability to be like the college football to be able to transfer your player into like the latest
I
Madden?
mean, they haven't done a college football game since 2014, 15.
Yeah, it's
14.
Yeah, it's been a
yeah.
long time.
I think it's
Okay.
14. It could even be 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
To be honest,
Yeah.
it has been a while. And one thing that I will mention too is that I had hoped that this game was going to like kind of focus more on the presentation
Mhm.
of it. It really doesn't. They keep adding, like, once you do a big play, they add the whole, AWS statistics, like, that's meant to feel more like a broadcast. They still don't do a good job of like adding to the broadcast feel of an NFL game, kind of the spectacle that they all put on. I really wish, like let's say, and I'll use my favorite team, the Miami Dolphins, as an example here. Like, maybe put your assets toward, like, maybe the 1 o'clock games that your team plays in real life you don't like do much for, but like at least give me something special for if my team has a primetime Sunday night game or a
Yeah.
Thursday night game, to at least switch it up from the fact that the only presentation things that we ever see anymore is, the announcer goes, "This week's matchup is Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins versus Mac Jones and the New England Patriots."
Yep.
And then it's a splash screen of like 3 random defenders from both teams, and then it cuts to,
Yep. Yep.
a wide shot. Like, you guys can close your eyes and I'm literally explaining like shot for shot
Yep.
what the intros are for the teams. So it's
Yep.
just like, I know they can they can afford Carrie Underwood to sing, NBC's, Sunday Night Football thing if they really wanted to, but they
Mhm.
won't. So,
And they used to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, like it was, and I've talked about it before, like NBA 2K, NFL 2K5, like
Mhm.
having Berman,
Yep.
like, go over like the highlights with you was something fun. And I'm sorry, but the highlights, like, and maybe they aren't doing it because, like, for me, I think the highlight show is gonna suck, so I just hold the A button
Yep.
and just skip it. And who knows, maybe it actually is good this year. I need to actually physically not skip the
I think
halftime show to make sure.
they
But
don't put any effort into that because the majority of players skip it.
mhm.
I really do. I think they probably have the data to look at and be like, dude, 85% of the people don't even look at the halftime show, so why bother? Because even if they make it cool, like when I think back of Madden games that had cool halftime things, I would watch it like the first 2 or 3 times and then skip it.
Yeah.
Right. So like, why put the
No,
time
yeah.
into that?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
But also, like, again, like, I hate tying it back into college football all the time, but they're already talking about the big thing with the college football game next year is they want to get the atmosphere right. They want to get the Penn State whiteout. They want to get all that in their games. Why are you not doing that with Madden now?
Yeah.
Like, you have the money, you have the time to go to these stadiums. Yes, the college traditions are better than the NFL traditions, but there's still traditions for each stadium that you could be doing. And it's less because you have to do less stadiums than you do for college football. So, like, just take the time and do it. You're already doing it for the college scene. Do it for the NFL scene too. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I got
like,
what he did.
yeah, so like
No, I like
overall,
it.
like Madden definitely feels like a more mixed bag this year, but I do see the improvements.
Mhm.
This does feel like the first next gen Madden game that we've gotten. So it's nice to see that this is probably a step in the right direction for it. It's just a matter of where does it go from here, because there's been multiple times where they introduce a new type of gameplay to it and then take it away next year for some other stupid mode or some other stupid um feature in the game. It's just that, like, the the games now focus so much on passing for the most part that, like, you should keep QB vision. Like, what they're doing right now, like, makes sense because you're playing the QB every play.
Yeah.
So don't take this feature away, or, like, next is add something to the running backs or something like that. But it's, it is what it is there. I am more positive about this game, and it seems as though scores of Madden seem to be a bit more, like, positive as well. Just take what you can, take what I say with, I am trying to give you guys truly my opinion on the Madden, and I play it every year. And the fact that these new gameplay elements, while a little bit frustrating, do feel like they bring something new to it, I think says a lot for the game franchise that constantly gets made fun of for never changing anything or never adding anything. So,
Yeah.
take that
And
with what you will.
I would say too, like if you're on the fence about it and you're not sure if you want to throw $60 down, one, if you have Game Pass, you can get a 10-hour trial,
Yep.
absolutely included. Two, this game's gonna be $30 Black Friday.
Yep.
So like if you're that like on the fence about it, just wait until November, which isn't that far off. Pick it
No.
up for $30, half off, right? Actually, more than half off. But yeah, it's not terrible. It's just not quite where I want it to be.
Yeah, and I will say all of my impressions come from the next gen version of the game.
Yep.
I don't believe that the last gen versions were adding this, like, type of QB vision and the field motion, I think it's called, or field sense is what they call it now, addition for, like, the wide receivers and everything with realistic movement. So if you're playing on a last gen console, I'll be completely honest with you, it may be the same game as last year's. So just keep that in mind. All of my opinions come from the next gen version, and that's the only one I've played.
Same. You played it on Xbox, right?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Okay. All right, let me knock some of these out of here. Roller Drome, that's another one. If you have the PlayStation Plus, you can get a 30-minute trial of this, which is what I did, and I'm glad I did because this game sucks.
Does it?
Yeah, it's not
Really?
good.
Oh my God.
I had
did
heard,
not expect
I had
that.
heard some good things.
Yeah,
about
so
it. Is it?
see, I like the concept, right? The idea to me is cool because you're on roller skates. You refill your ammo by doing tricks. So you have a button for grabs, you have a button for flips, and you have a button for grinds, right? So, and you also have a dodge button to dodge like people shooting at you. So the idea is there for me to, like, you're like trying to go around and jump off everything and grind everything, and then you have a button to slow down time to help you shoot. That's all cool. I just don't like. It got boring for me very quick to be like, okay, I'm just all right. I'm gonna go up here. I'm gonna do a grab and some spins. I'm gonna come down and shoot this guy. Oh, there's a sniper, so I'm just gonna dodge. Now I'm gonna go grind, get some more ammo. It's just like I don't think there's enough there to keep me entertained for more than like one or two games. And I was like, all right, I'm good. There is like a campaign involved in there, but it's very just like, this is your name. There is people get picked to go into these death domes. Go fight is pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know it has been reviewed fairly well. So, I mean, if you want to try it again, 30-minute free trial is on PlayStation Plus. You can try it for yourself. For me, it was a big no after the 30 minutes. I was like, well, I'm glad I didn't buy it. But yeah, so that's that one. Thymesia, I'm going to do super quick because I've been playing so much Neo. Like, I think I'm like level 71 in Neo or something like that.
Oh wow,
So like
nice.
I'm putting in time,
Love
right?
it.
Still not done, but like I'm putting in a ton of time. And I realized very quickly with Thymesia that like you can't play both at the same time because they're so different that I have to like
Yeah.
relearn. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna hold off. But Thymesia number one, it is only $30. You can actually get it for like $23 right now on Xbox. So if you go into it with the mindset that will not be like a Demon Souls polished game, I actually don't think it's too bad. It's doing some things that are different. It kind of has a Bloodborne feel as far as like the aesthetic.
Yeah,
with
for
like the
sure.
plague doctor mask. But what I like is your normal button for attack will take down their health, but when you hit them, their health bar will go down, but there'll be a section of it that's green, and they will get that health bar back unless you use your other attack, which is like a claw, to hit them, which will take down that green section. So you're kind of battling back and forth, like, all right, I'm going to do a combo here and then dodge, but then also have to go right back in to hit them again so they don't regenerate that health. And every enemy has that. So you have to be like on the offensive. You also have the ability to, if you hold down one of the triggers, to charge up an attack that will basically take their weapon, and then you have a one use of that weapon that you can use, which is cool. It's like a more powerful attack. So I think it's done pretty well. It's like I said, it's definitely not polished, but it's tough. Like even that first section, I was like, man, this is like you really are gonna have to invest the time to get good at it. The dodge isn't as good as I'm used to in a game like Neo, right? Where like I'm so used to like hit 3 times, dodge around to the back and all that. Like it's a little bit slower of a dodge, so you have to think a little bit farther ahead. And when you hit someone in Thymesia, it does not stun them or stop them from doing their attack. So where I think a lot of games, like if you hit them, like, all right, they're not going to attack me, they're still going to try and hit you. So you have to kind of time everything more. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's going to be like, it's not going to win any awards, but for like what, $23 right now, if you're looking for like a Souls type game, which obviously I am right now on everything, I think it's going to hit the spot after I'm done with Neo, even though in the middle of playing Neo, Best Buy had Neo 2 for $10, so I bought that.
Nice. There
So
you
I mean,
go.
I don't know if I'm gonna jump right into it. I'll probably jump into Thymesia afterwards. But yeah, so far so good on that. Barry, did you have more? Either one of you have more before I
He
plop
I
had
through these
had
other?
Cult of the
Go
I
ahead.
Lamb.
had Call to the Lamb.
Yes, I'm interested on this one.
So, Cult of the Lamb, 1,000 times yes.
Okay.
It's created by a developer. I believe it's called what is it? Massive. I had it written down. Massive Monster. So the game itself is a combination of a lot of different things. I think that's why everybody's responding to it so well. It's you essentially play a lamb that was brought back to life by a demon who's looking to basically be unchained, right? And he's using you to create a cult in order to bring him back. So immediately it's like an adorable lamb with just like red demon eyes, and I have not been able to get enough of it. But what's nice about it is the game kind of introduced the antagonist to you immediately. There's like these 4 otherworldly presences that are trying to prevent you and your cult from bringing this guy back. And you clearly know that you already know when the game starts that there's 4 levels or 4 paths you got to take to destroy all 4 of them, right? So they plops you down. This game is essentially 2 games. It's got like an Animal Crossing side, but with cults. It's like a cult crossing. And then it's a roguelike RPG for 10 to 15 minutes to 20 minutes at a pop. So on the one end, you have your cult at home that like anything else in every video game cannot take care of themselves. And you start from scratch. You have this nice small area that you have to basically farm and get wood and stone and create buildings and build up into a small town so that you can have your cult base at home. On the other side of the game, you go out on runs, which is essentially you going into one of the 4 levels that they have available. You go out and you basically destroy non-believers. Non-believers are just the enemies. So they come in all shapes and sizes. They're dedicated to the particular level that they have. So like there's like a flare with each. There's like a forest level and so on and so forth. And what's cool is on the run, you get weapons to start. But then after you get through the amount of rooms, it's got kind of like a Zelda feel where you have like a map that shows this room. Also, Metroid does it, where it has like a rectangular room, and then you see like the line down, and then there's another room, that kind of thing. Once you get through the entire beginning part of the level, then you have a section where you can break off and go into different paths on your run. At the end is the boss, but you can go to, each room is labeled. You can go to a room that looks like it has a better weapon to select, or gathering materials, or there's question marks on specific rooms, so you don't know if it's a pillar or a totem that you have to pray at to get more health, or there's a bunch of different things going on. But then at the end is your boss. Now, each run, like I said, only takes 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, but you need that in order to obtain gold and bones from your dead enemies in order to bring back to the town. Now, as your town grows, because you can find followers and convert them to your religion, like along the way, they're thrown in levels. There's different ways to obtain them. As you gain more followers, you have to elevate how your town is, and your followers start wanting better things. Like, you start out with sleeping bags for them to sleep in, but you got to upgrade them to tents because sleeping bags break too easily. And you got to make sure that you're cooking for them. You got to do all of these things at home while managing to go out on runs. Now, the villagers kind of act like, or the cultists act like any other type of thing, where they grow up, they die, like they live, and then they can either die of old age, or there's like a lot of maintenance that comes in the home. For example, sometimes you'll go off and you'll come back, you'll realize that a bunch of villagers have pooped everywhere back at home. You have to clean that, because if the villagers
I did hear something specific about that. Yeah.
Yeah, if the cultists see it, then they get sick, and then you have sick cultists that die before their time, and you can't really maintain your cult without cultists. Any cult leader will tell you that. You need your followers. So there's a maintenance that goes on at home. You want to make sure they're fed. You want to make sure that they're all good before you go out on a run, because if you go out and you take too long, your villagers do get hungry. Sorry that I keep calling them villagers. It's just natural. I get some Animal Crossing out with that. But there's aspects about the game that are adorable. There's a church that you build like immediately when the game starts. You hold a sermon each day. The sermon builds up your energy, like your demonic energy, because of how many followers you have, and that's how you progress and level up. So you have your church where you do sermons. You can do, as the game progresses, you have specific rituals you can perform that you pick along the way. Some of them are sacrifices. Some of them are benevolent type of things. It's really just, it fits whatever play style you want. And as you progress in that manner, you can choose like how you want to do it. And usually when you do, it'll give you a good or a bad version. So it'll say like let's say you level up, it'll ask you, do you want to have a doctrine where everybody has to donate 2 gold each day, and then you get 10 points towards like your following, or like one person has to stay in jail for a day, and that's how you get like a beneficial thing. So you can choose good and evil of how you do it. And it's worth the hype, guys, because you doing things for your cult and amassing a following and keeping everybody happy makes it easier to do the runs and beat the bosses. You can't do one without the other, because if you don't go on runs, then you don't have the gold resources to build more elaborate buildings at home. And they've got everything. They've got jails. There's like if certain people in the game can become unhappy with your cult, and then they start speaking out, which is adorable, because the language in this game is like animalistic murmuring. So it'll be like murmur, 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 murmur. Like you'll just hear somebody in town with a megaphone speaking against your cult, and you can throw them in jail. You could do all of these different things to try to make sure that your cult is positively being affected by you. And the reason why it's popular, you can immediately see when you start playing. It's very addictive. It's a pick up and play. You could play it 15 minutes before you have to take a shower to go to work. You could play it for 6 hours straight when you're at home. And one of the best things that they did, I know it's a little wonky because I've been watching certain streamers do it and it not working out for them, but they added a Twitch like streaming option to it where if you're streaming it on Twitch, you can have your followers. You can have the people who are watching you interact with every new follower that you obtain. They can name it for you. They can change how they look. So they did a bunch of different things correctly. I don't know if it's on my game of the year list. I want to finish it. For what it is, for the price, for the $25, for what they've accomplished, for the rightful feedback and blown up, I guess, like for lack of a better term, just reception that they've received from this is definitely warranted. I think you guys should play it. I got it on Steam, like I think the day after it was released. I can't remember exactly when it was released, but it's 100% worth it. 100%.
It's fair. I've heard a lot of good things so far. Nothing bad,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. As have I. It definitely seems to be like another roguelike game that is at least becoming very popular, making its own trend. You know that it's not just a roguelike; it's also a life simulator in a way.
Yeah.
So any way to stand out in what already is like a lot of people creating roguelike games is probably a pretty good idea on their point. I do admit like the art seems to be adorable as well. Like it's very it's it's cute violence, which just reminds me of like Happy Tree Friends.
Yes.
There are definitely a lot of people who would
It's
get on
just
board
like
with
that.
that. So yeah, like I want to give it a shot. It's just that you know Craig as well as I do. We got Soul Hackers 2 coming this week, so it'll be our
Too
lives
busy
will be
holding
consumed.
hands.
Yeah. That's not this
I can't
game.
wait.
That's not this game. Let me
I
be
can't
completely-
wait for this game, man.
So
I'm so excited.
All right. So 2 Point Hospital.
Yes.
Not a
Campus.
whole lot to say. Campus. Sorry. 2 Point
Yeah.
Campus. Same thing. 2 Point Hospital, 2 Point Campus. Yeah, same type of game as 2 Point Hospital, except you're doing a university instead of a hospital. More of the same that you would expect from this game. If you like 2 Point Hospital, you're gonna like 2 Point Campus. Basically, it boils down to you're building all these classrooms, and in order for the students to get better grades, which in turn gives you more money, you have to make the rooms more appealing. So you'll get like different missions, or you'll get like there'll be little icons above certain students' heads that'll be like, I want this in my classroom, and you have to make sure you put it in. It's those little things that kind of keep it entertaining for me. And then some people get crazy with how they lay out their campuses, and they make like these elaborate hedge mazes and stuff. It's pretty cool. I think it's a ton of fun. I like adore these type of games. I always have. So I'm always like all in on these games. It's hard for me to decide or discern like, will the casual gamer like this type of game? I think so. Again, it is on Game Pass, so it's another game that you can try out 100% for free, either on console or PC. I think these games are just so much easier on PC than trying to do it with a controller. So if you have the ability, I would 100% recommend putting it on PC, just so you're not trying to do a million things on a controller and limited by buttons and all that kind of stuff. But been having a ton of fun with that. But all of my time has been going to Arcade Paradise, which is the other game I have left here. This is another game that's also on PC and console. I am playing it on PC. Basically, this game takes place in the 90s. You inherit a laundromat from your father, and you're basically going in and doing your daily. People drop off their clothes, you put in the washer. When it's done, you put in the dryer. You get paid. You're going around, you're picking up the trash, you're cleaning the restrooms, all that kind of stuff. But then you find out that there's a back room that has a couple arcade machines in it. So basically, what it comes down to is your father is against arcade machines. So you're taking all the money that you're getting from the laundromat and you're purchasing more arcade machines. You're expanding this back room to make it more appealing, till eventually the arcade is your main source of income and not the laundromat. What I think works so well about this game and why I love it so much is every single one of these games that you buy, you can 100% play. They're fully
Oh,
fleshed out arcade games. They're obviously not like official games that you know, but you'll play these games, you'll immediately know what they are. There's a game that looks like and plays like Candy Crush. You have your Pong. I haven't gotten
Interesting.
there's so many games you can buy, and I haven't gotten them all yet. But there's like just about every game you could think of. There's a Pac-Man type game. But yeah, it's just like it satisfies my itch for like a simulation type game that I love, but also all these old arcade games that I used to love playing are represented in a slightly different way so they don't get copyright claims.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's and even the daily stuff is all video game eyes. Like you're walking around, you're picking up trash, right? When your trash bag is full, you got to go take it to the dumpster. When you get to the dumpster, it'll do the little like the Madden kick gauge, and then you have to hit it
Oh,
at the top, and you'll get more money depending on how well you do. Um, it'll be the same thing. You'll find like gum stuck to seats, and to pull it off, you'll get the kick gauge again. Cleaning the toilets, the toilet has a boss health bar. It's just
that's
like
funny.
little stuff like that that they put
Yeah.
in there is very, very cool. You can get very technical with the arcade side of things. You have a Palm Pilot that you can pull up, and it'll tell you uh, a popular rating on all your games, how much it's making per hour. You can go in and change how much it costs to play the game. You can change if it's easy, medium, or hard. So, like, if you want it to be hard so that people are putting more money in, you can do all that.
Mm.
You can get very, very detailed with, like, all right, this game's super popular. This one over here is not. So, I'm going to put it next to the popular one so it makes more money. And, you know, it's crazy. You have all these games you can order, and then when you get a little bit farther in, you have all these upgrades that you can buy as well. There's just a lot going on in this game that I really, really like. Again, it is on both. I'm playing on PC. I did see it on Xbox and PlayStation. I don't know about Switch. But yeah, that's like my game of the week besides Neo has been this game right here. So go check that out
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. It
That's all
sounds
I
like it's at
played.
least. Yeah, it sounds like it's an interesting concept. Is it a new game or is it?
Yeah,
Or is it?
it just came out
Okay.
this week. Yep. I
Okay.
want to say it's 20 bucks, I think.
Okay. That's
It's
not
either
terrible
20
at
or
Take a
all.
look
30.
at it.
It's not very much. Yeah.
Maybe
All
in
right.
between Soul Hackers 2, you take
There
a
you
look at
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Take a minute. So the next up on our end is going to be movies and TV shows for this week.
Yep.
Which for me, I did watch up to the Sandman episode 6, so I still have a little bit to go on that one.
Mhm.
But there is the season finale of The Rehearsal with
Yeah.
Mason Fielder that recently came out. But other than that, I know I got a lot of movies to catch up on, but that's all I've watched.
um,
it.
yeah, we can. I finished Sandman, but we can wait on that till we all finish. That's fine. I also watched the last of the Rehearsal. I finally broke down and watched Lightyear,
All
the
right.
Oh
Buzz
yeah, that's
Lightyear,
right.
and
Oh,
then
I
I
watched
watched.
She-Hulk.
Oh, yep, yep. I
That's
don't know if
right,
you wanted to
She-Hulk
wait till
episode
that's
1.
done or if we want to
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about
wait.
that.
We'll wait. Yeah.
And then I watched on Netflix Day Shift with Jamie Foxx
Oh,
about hunting vampires and
Oh, I
that
didn't
yeah.
Snoop
realize it was a
Dogg's.
Netflix show
Yes, yeah, movie.
Yeah.
or movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, those are
I-
the ones I watch. How about you, Craig?
I'm interested to hear your take on Daybreak or
Okay,
Day
Day
Shift.
Shift.
Sorry,
Yep,
Daybreak is a different
it is.
vampire
Yep.
movie. Um, I I feel like I'm coming with just a couple that have already been spoken about on the podcast, but I
Sure.
powered through. It's not really a power through because it's a mini series, but I went through Blackbird.
Yes.
Oh wow, and I also watched Blackphone. That's my other one.
Yes. Okay.
So those are the two, and then I also have to finish Sandman so that we can all talk about it. But I'm like 2 or
Sure.
3 episodes in. I think the end of episode 3, so I'm behind. But
Okay.
those are the two I have to talk about.
Do we want to do the rehearsal, Perry?
Yeah, let's do The Rehearsal.
Okay.
Kind of ended in a way that like I thought made sense
Mm-hmm.
as well. It's already been renewed for season 2, so
Yep.
they still have it. It's just funny to me that like it feels like HBO is paying for Nathan Fielder's therapy.
They really are.
Again, is what it feels like. Like it is an interesting concept with the the lady who definitely we kind of knew wasn't taking the whole like simulation thing seriously. Like
Yep.
I can't imagine how much money like Nathan might have feel like he wasted because she's playing house, but then when the children isn't doing anything and she, has this fake business she's supposed to be setting up, she doesn't send out any of the packages. She's just like messing about.
Yep.
Um, he
Enjoying the
also
vacation.
yeah, and
Yep.
enjoying what's a literal vacation, and she might even be getting paid for it because
Yeah.
technically she's kind of an actor and all this.
Mhm.
But it did kind of open up the whole like, especially like religion wise, where like we definitely saw the extreme of one side where
Yep.
the girl is like, son's got to be raised in Christianity. Judaism is like it's
The
devil
devil.
worshiping
Yep. Yep.
religion, and it's like, well, no, that's not the case. Everybody has you know especially with Judaism and the Quran, like it's just different ways of religion and celebrating it. So it was definitely kind of weird to see it take that turn. But like Nathan, like I thought it was just like about time, especially as well. Like, of course he's gonna run into the problem with the one kid calling him dad.
Yep.
Out of it, and it's just like, yeah, that is completely realistic, and I'm kind of surprised that maybe not more kids, or maybe they just didn't show that it happened to more kids that did that, because there are plenty of moms raising their kids alone, and you know you can put your child in for this kind of research thing as a test, really. Of course he's gonna call him dad
Yeah.
because
He
he doesn't
spends
have
so
like a
much time with them.
exactly.
Yep.
So like it almost feels like this epiphany for me. I was like, wow, like that really hit. Like I've been raised, of course, in like a full home, but that really hits home. I definitely think for some people,
Yep.
when you eventually call your football coach dad because you see him all the
Yeah.
time, or like your teacher mom, or
Yep.
something like that. Like we've all done something embarrassing like that because you almost spend more time with them because you're with them 8 hours a day or however long you're in school for, and then you see your parents for maybe 3 or 4 hours when you get home, and then you're asleep and back to school the next day.
Yep.
So it was really nice to see that humanizing factor of it. I just think the whole like gender flipping as well, where he's like now he's playing as the mom. Like there's
Yep.
so much like inception in a way of someone's playing Nathan, he's playing the mother, and then he is a kid playing the kid, calling him dad. Like
Yeah.
it's just like this endless train of people playing other people, and
You
and
know.
it's like it's such an interesting like concept or show in a way.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when you hold up like your phone or something to the screen you're recording to, and it just has like the million windows that go all the way in. That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
reminds me of, because he just like he played out a section. He's like, oh man, I spent so long with this kid, having this kid call me dad. Now he thinks I'm his dad. All right, well then what if I play his mom, and then I'll have somebody else play me? And he just keeps going farther and farther down to try and figure out the best way to handle it. It's If you would have told me where you would end up with the last episode and where you started with the first episode, I would have never guessed that's where it would end. But I thought it was kind of cool too that they renewed it for season 2, and even HBO was like, yeah, we don't even know what we're gonna get with season 2, but we're gonna renew it, because he's such like, his mind works in such a different way that like this season 2 could be something completely different, like just completely different. and
And
and I'll be
the
there for
fact
it,
that he
you know?
opened his bar too, like it's
Yeah.
an actual business he has now, and it's just like this
Yeah.
really weird
It's
20-foot
wild.
corridor to the bar. It's actually just like it's really funny, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How imagine how many like studio props that like you pay to make and then you end up destroying it right afterward. Instead, he
Yeah.
reuses it, and now it's almost like it's a place for his other actors to work while they're waiting for more work.
Yeah.
It's really genius in a way, but like that show is interesting just because of how it continues to go down the ladder. And like I get it, a rehearsal and the concept of the show makes sense to me. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of, I always find it funny about how he even has mirrors to simulate him looking like the mom, and
Yep.
it just takes it to that extreme level that you would think like, oh, I wish I could rehearse something so I could replay the situation the whole show just takes it to like 11 and makes it outrageous, which I think is also, and to make it coherent as well, I think is a big part on them as well, because
I
it definitely feels like episode one was like a one off, and
Yep.
then everything else was kind of connected to everything afterward.
Yeah, it's like episode 1 is what he set out to do with this show. But then when he got to the second person, it was just like, well, now I'm stuck doing this. Because there's
Yeah,
like small, I think it's the third episode where he does another one, but it's like barely shown because it's just like,
yeah,
and then he left, you
yeah,
know? I appreciated too some of the behind the scenes stuff that you see, like when they're throwing the birthday party for the kid and he fills it with background actors. And then he realizes that because of union, they're not allowed to speak. Right, like that to me it was hilarious. So like he has
yeah.
all
That
these
was.
background actors and he's talking to them, but they can't talk back. They're not allowed to. That kind of stuff to me is so cool. It's just like getting to see all that stuff and how it works is crazy. But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. Not what I expected at all, but it was entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
What do we want to do now?
I was about to say you guys should probably need to talk about Blackphone, and
Yeah,
how about Craig? Why don't you talk about Blackbird, and then you two play
yeah,
Blackphone?
Blackbird.
Uh, you weren't wrong, Craig.
Yeah,
Blackbird is fantastic. It's Apple miniseries, and it essentially, just to go over a quick recap, just because Craig did discuss it in a previous podcast, but gentleman is essentially, we'll just call him a gangster. I don't even need to say necessarily what he's doing, but
yeah.
he is a handsome, womanizing gangster, as many gangsters tend to be, and essentially, like with most types of things, when you're on the other side of the law, you make one wrong move and the cops build up a rap sheet on you, or at least build up a case on you, and the guy gets arrested. Well, he's got a long prison term ahead of him because he was promised that he was going to have a shorter term if he agreed to confess, and he did. And then the judge turned around and said, you get, I think it's like 30 years, like 20, 30 years, something like that. So he was supposed to get like 10. So while he's in jail, on the other side, there is a guy that is going around killing women in essentially a 3-state, I'm going to say, just to be safe, a 3-state area, right? 2 to 3 state area. And they are these two well-acted detectives that don't intertwine until about halfway through. Doesn't ruin anything for you. But they're both trying to figure out who this person is. So out of desperation, one of the detectives goes in and essentially is looking for somebody to go into the prison that the serial killer is being held in, because he essentially like admitted to the killings, but nobody believes him because he's very, very weird and has admitted to it multiple times that they don't take it seriously. But he's being held until his appeal. They're looking for somebody to go in and basically talk to that inmate to see if they can figure out where these girls are buried, or get more of a confession at them, or get more details out of them. So they obviously look for some type of suave individual, and in comes our character. The show's great. It just is. It's well shot. There's like 6 characters you have to pay attention to. It's like, it is a mini series, so I mean, how many characters can they introduce? But they took essentially 6 characters and they asked everybody to play them well, and they do. The one guy, the gangster's name, his last name's like Keen. He's
Jimmy.
phenomenal. Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
And he reminds me of like a Boardwalk Empire type of character, at least in the way that he kind of, at least the hairstyle, and maybe not how he talks necessarily, but there is that kind of rough nature about him that reminds me of just like most of the people that are in that type of show. And the dude, I have to say his name, Paul Walter Hauser, who plays Larry Hall. Oh
Yeah,
my word.
yeah.
Killed it.
Oh my word. He killed it. It was,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't felt more sympathetic, but then hating myself for being sympathetic for just a brief, weak moment. but also scared,
Well,
but
I
also like wanting this dude to go away. Like I felt so many different emotions every time this guy was on screen, and it was phenomenal the way he played. He stole the show, and I mean he had the role to do it, but this guy didn't. This guy did incredibly well, and it made a lasting impression for me, especially in episodes. And not tell you why necessarily to ruin it for anybody at home, but really amp them up in 4, 5, and 6, specifically 5 and 6. There were certain times where you look into that man's eye, and you could see the like the murderous intent on the inside. It's great. It just is.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I haven't seen something like that since I believe the comparison was made when it was talked about, but it was so True Detective for me.
Mhm.
Season 1 specifically True Detective for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that that was an itch that I needed to scratch with another television show. Because True Detective season 1 was fantastic. But when you have Woody Harrelson and McConaughey like playing together, like come on, like it's going to be. But like I needed something like that, and that is Blackbird. I recommend it highly.
Yeah.
Um,
Phenomenal TV show. Just absolutely phenomenal.
it just it really struck home, and
That
I
one's
was happy.
that one's gonna hit up high on our list for the end of the year, I think.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it definitely will.
It'll be an easy agreement for us.
yeah. And then Blackphone.
Yeah.
We can just get that out the way real quick. Speaking of great performances, Ethan
Not
Hawke.
not a horror movie.
Not a horror movie.
Thriller.
It is a thriller.
Yeah.
It is not a horror movie. These trailers, man.
Yep. They make you think it is, for
They
sure.
make you think it is. It's not.
No.
If anything, it's just an awesome kids helping kids survive movie. It's the reason why you like shows like Stranger Things. It's the reason why
Yep.
you like it. We talk about this every time a show or a movie like this comes out. It's about the kids.
Yep.
And mainly a brother-sister relationship that intertwines with the grabber played by Ethan Hawke. But the grabber had his weird moments too, where you were like, what exactly
Yep.
is he in terms of like a kidnapping serial killer? Like, what is he? Because he had some moments where he had a different MO than when you see these type of movies, where it just maybe wasn't about killing kids, or it wasn't about necessarily the
It was
power,
just
or sometimes it
rules.
was. Huh?
Yeah. It was just like
Oh,
rules for him.
it was
Right.
rules.
Yeah.
And that's what made it different.
Yeah.
And the other difference that the trailer shows, but it shows it in a horror way, but it's not. It's in like a coming of age film type of way with kids. Again, kids helping kids, is the alliance, or at least the helping between the dead kids and the kid who is alive and kidnapped. One thing to note, Craig, I don't know if you noticed this, but I said it out loud because it affected me so much as we were watching it. To compare it to it again, there were a lot of kids missing in this town.
Yeah. A
And the
lot.
police were not acting very police-like in their looking into
No.
it. Now when you're watching it, it's because, you know, Pennywise has a hold on the town, and the adults don't even realize that that kids are dying the way they are. In this, it just made no sense. It's 1978. There's enough murderers by this point in real life by 1978 for you to be worried about your children. And there's just pictures everywhere of missing kids, and kids are going to school alone. They're walking home alone. The main protagonist and his sister break off in the movie
Yep.
frequently.
Yep.
And
I
it's
think-
just like,
I think I think the only way I can justify it in my head is I think at one point one of the parents does say something about not walking home alone, but I think in total he killed like 5 or 6 kids, something
Mhm.
like that. And I don't think the police were like in that big of a hurry to try to find this guy, but it kind of reminded me of like other well-known serial killers where they would be like 5 or 6 deaths and be like, oh, well, make sure you don't go outside at night, and that
Yeah.
was like the extent of it, especially in like the 70s, 80s
Yeah.
era. They're like,
Until it hits 10 and 15.
right.
And then
Yeah.
it's just
You're
like,
just
all right,
like,
we're on a
well,
manhunt.
yep.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, all right, well, just don't go out after 9 p.m. and lock your doors and hope for the
Yeah.
best, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
also
there,
the skeptical person in me with the van too. I
yeah.
mean, this guy he was paler than Michael Jackson. He's walking around with essentially just a white ghastly face with
Yep.
a very questionable van.
And balloons.
And when he was kidnapping, he was doing it on like residential roads. Like there was
Broad
an
daylight.
instant in broad daylight.
Yep.
So once you get aside that fact, with a lot of scary movies, you have to put things aside because they have
Yep.
to create some type of atmosphere which makes it believable that people are even dying in this
Mhm.
movie or getting kidnapped. But my wife and I were chuckling because we were like, anybody not notice that large van and the man with the black balloons and letting the black balloons go every time he does kidnap somebody,
That was
which is
his calling
essentially
card.
shooting a flare. Yeah.
Yep.
He's
Hmm.
essentially shooting a flare every time. In the
Yep.
town, if you see a collection of black balloons, travel to that location with
Yep.
the angry mob. Those are the only two things. Ethan Hawke was fantastic. The kids
Yep.
were great. And the movie is not a horror movie, but it is a great thriller.
I personally think that that shot of him sitting in the chair with his shirt off and the mask on, I feel like will be iconic for Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
When I think of
One
him,
where
I
he's like
think of
slouched.
where he's
where
just like laying back, waiting for
Yeah,
the kid to come up the stairs. That to
that was
me was an
iconic.
iconic shot.
It was.
Yeah, I don't know. It was one of those shots, and I was like, that's one that I'll remember for a long time. It was done so well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really liked it. It was not what I thought it was going to be going in, but I enjoyed it.
It was good, and you're right. That will be an iconic shot. Iconic shot,
Mhm.
specifically when you think of the kid being right there, like just
Yep.
almost kind of. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
great movie though.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Go
going to
ahead,
go
Ben.
ahead and do it for this week's podcast because that's all any of us watched. I do appreciate everybody watching and reviewing and sharing the podcast. If you haven't yet, please make sure you like, review, and share it, and also on Facebook to like and subscribe if you do. By the time the video goes up, it'll be my birthday, so happy birthday to me on the day this video goes up. So I'll take it. But yeah, we really do appreciate it. I hope to be streaming back on Twitch. I had to take a little vacation, hence why we skipped a week, and then I needed to catch up on all the stuff that I haven't been doing. So I hope to be streaming Bayonetta 2 this Thursday at some point. So be on the lookout for that. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you later.
Yeah. Take
Bye.
care, guys.